Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Tuesdays with Terica. Hey, guys, guess what? I'm going to be interviewing Lady Ann Francis from Richmond, Virginia, transitioning with ease. Stay tuned. I think you're going to enjoy it. Hi, guys, it's Terica, and welcome to this week's Tuesdays with Terica. Hey, you know what? We are going to be interviewing Miss Ann Francis, Lady Ann, who is coming to us via Zoom from Richmond, Virginia, and she is going to help us know how to transition with ease. So, Miss Ann, how are you?
I am doing fabulous today. How about yourself?
I am doing so good, so good, so good. And I am
Great.
just so grateful that you have given us some of your time today. I am so looking forward to our conversation. I just have always been a little kid admiring you. I remember okay, I don't want to really kind of date myself, but I always tell everybody I'm a woman I'm a woman with a little a little seasoning. But as a young person, how I would always spend the night at you guys' house, and how you would always take time to just kind of make us always feel like we were special and a part of the family, because we've all grown up together and everything. So I always think about the things that happened before, and I'm just so honored that we are still here in a
Yes.
happy place today. So, with all that being said, I have been one who has kind of watched your life from the sideline. And as I was praying and, just kind of asking the Lord for different things about today's topic, transitioning with ease. That seems to be a stride that you have obtained. I know by the grace of God, but with ease, actually. And so, if you don't mind, as we're getting started, let's kind of share with the people, our viewers, when you got started. But as a young woman, when you were single and you were trying to transition into business, would you like to share what that journey looked like for you?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to even share and be with you on today. And actually, you really can't talk about where you are today unless you think about or go back to where you came from. So
I
I'm glad that you mentioned that past because that's my whole foundation, with the family, with my parents, with the church that we both grew up in that caused us to become family. And who
Mhm.
would have known that even years later we would still be like family?
Yeah.
So just having what I thought was important to me is just having a good support system,
Mhm.
even as a young lady, you know, getting, graduating from high school, going to beauty school, graduating from beauty school, and then like, what's my next move? Like, I
Mhm.
felt like, it was all like happening at one time. Like, okay, now I got to do all this grown up stuff.
Mhm.
So, even when I graduated from beauty school, still not knowing which direction to go, but still having parents that were always there to, lend a helping hand or to give me guidance or to help me find solutions to problems that I may have been having.
Mhm.
So when I graduated from beauty school, of course, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. So thank the Lord that we were attending a wonderful church at the time. And so there was a few hairstylists there that I knew of, but one in particular, um, Miss Evelyn Moore, she took me under her wing.
Mhm.
She allowed me to come into her salon. Now, mind you, I don't have any experience, like really, you know, being on the floor like that, only in beauty school.
Mhm.
So she took me under her wing and she showed me a lot of things that I did not learn in beauty school. You
Mhm.
know, just some of the different, even dealing with customer service and the way to entreat, clients when they come into the salon and to build a relationship with them, all that. So that was really, thinking back on that now, that was my very first mentor. And so she really helped me and she encouraged me in that area. So, to always appreciative and always think about her, even in different stages of my career, I always go back to Miss Sister Evelyn Moore, who helped me and took me under her wing and told me that, it's going to get better and you're going to be fine in this area. So that's kind of like how I got started with that.
Foundation is what I'm hearing you say
Mhm.
is the prominent thing to help you get from one plateau to the next. But what about that woman? And this is not a trick question, but just something as we're going on with conversation in transitioning. If you don't have the foundation that you did, what would you, the words of comfort would you give that one that may not feel that they have what you had?
That's really something because I was definitely blessed to have that. And I realized that. And I give God all the glory for that. And I understand there are a lot of women that don't have that, and
Mhm.
especially young women. They don't have, the mother that's encouraging them. They might not have the dad that's supporting them. They might not have the family or even the church family that's
Mhm.
rallying around them, telling them that they can make it. But what I would say to that person is that find everything that you can find inside of you and just kind of like hold on to that and just keep it moving. Find out exactly what you want to do and then do the homework on it. See what it's going to take to get there. But whatever you do, don't don't give up on your dream. And then find somebody that's doing what you want to do and ask that person, hey, can I shadow you? Can you mentor me? Even if you don't want them to be your mentor, can you shadow me? Or can we have a conversation together? Can we go out to lunch together? Can I just pick your brain? You know, try to do something that will keep you moving forward in the right direction. Because when I tell you discouragement is a real thing, sometimes if you don't have people in your life to push you and to help you, you can easily get discouraged. And then you
Absolutely.
end up doing nothing
Mhm.
with your life. And then
Absolutely.
years later, you look back and say, what in the world? I wasted all that time. But as a young person, it's always good to find somebody that's moving in the same direction that you're going,
Mhm.
and then try to kind of like hang with that person. You hang around people that are going where you want to be, or you
Absolutely.
hang around people who you want to become.
Mhm.
Because if you're hanging around like a bunch of people or a bunch of young ladies that really are not going anywhere or don't want to do anything better or that are very negative, then you're going to become just like them. You
Right.
know that saying, birds of a feather flock together? That's a very, very true saying. So you want to make sure that whoever you're with is conducive to wherever you're trying to go.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of the advice that I would give a young lady. There's got to be somebody for everybody out there. There's somebody that's willing to help you, somebody that's willing to teach you,
Mhm.
somebody that's willing to help you reach your goal and your destination in life.
I agree. I agree with you 100% because I always say and I feel so wholeheartedly, God strategically does things. He will
Mhm.
place that person in your path. And there will be a spark of conversation or something that will help navigate that friendship, that relationship, whatever it needs to be to help you kind of project where you're trying to go. So I agree with you 100%. Okay, so now you're a young woman, you're in business. Again, just from the sideline, business is growing, you're doing some things that's fabulous. But now you're transitioning again, you're becoming wife and mom. What does that look like? Because now it's just not about you, it's about you and other people that are now a part of your world and your circle. How do you do that?
Now that was a huge transition for me, and especially as a young lady at the tender age of 22 years old when I got married. And so when I got married, I actually moved from Ohio, which is where I grew up, where
Mhm.
all of my family was, and
Mhm.
went all the way to Texas, which is where my husband was from. So that was a humongous transitioning period for me because I was used to our church, I was used to the family, I was used to being around friends and all that. And here I am, I'm getting married, I'm going to a place that I'd never been before. And so, one thing I did know is that I was marrying the love of my life. So that at that particular time, that was what was most important to me. And so all the other stuff that I would, you would normally think about, well, how am I going to do this? Or, I don't have any friends there. Where am I going to work? And all that just seemed like it didn't even matter. All that I knew was going to fall into place.
Mhm.
And so moving on to getting married, and then a year later having a baby, all that was different because now it's not just me, but it's this man and it's this baby. And I'm like, Lord have mercy, like I can barely take care of myself now. How I'm going to take care of like this person and that person? But the thing about it is, when you do something, when you love people, and when you are in a situation and you know that God placed you in that situation, then God graces you
Mhm.
for that particular situation. So for me, He graced me to be a good wife. He graced me to be a good mother. And even once all the other children start coming, and and now that I look back on it, I'm just like, how in the world did I have 4 children? Like, how did I do this? But you know what? God graced me to do it every step of the way. And I would not change it for the world, because it was such a wonderful experience for me. And I come from a family of 7 siblings, and and a brother, so and that makes 8. So I'm used to being around big families anyway. So for me to have 4, I'm like, oh, okay, 4, compared to 8, that's not bad. But I loved it because, again, it goes back to, my beginnings growing up in Rehoboth under Bishop Spencer.
Mhm.
Everything was about family.
Mhm.
Everything was about God. Everything was about church. So I had that good foundation. So I saw um, married couples, I saw family units,
Mhm.
and I saw people worshiping together. So when I grew up and I was old enough to do that, I knew that's what I wanted,
Mhm.
because I was going to imitate what I saw. And I saw, family units, people getting along together. So I knew that I was going to be fine. So even once moving to Texas and starting having children and then moving back to Ohio, um, it was not. Now looking back on it now, it really wasn't a hard thing for me, because I think that um, every step of the way I had to really trust and rely on God. Now,
Absolutely.
not saying that everything was perfect and everything was easy, because by no means was it. But whenever, I got to those places in my life where I felt like, Lord, I don't know what to do in this situation, or I feel like I can't go any further, I knew who to run to.
Yes.
I knew who I had to rely on in those moments. There were times that I felt like I was going to just lose it, but I had to fall on my knees and say, Lord, you got to help me in this situation. So it's one of those things where, even in that transition, the Lord helped me to transition with ease. And so, no, you go ahead.
Well, I was just
I
going
go
to
on about that.
so you're now a mom. You're a wife. You're a mom. You were already a business entrepreneur, but your business now is even moving to another level. How do you juggle everything as being a parent? Because it's so much now, and not to mention throwing the extra in of I'm the first lady of our church. You know,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah. And so with that, it took a lot, but I think that there were times where it felt like it was a little overwhelming. But again, those are the times that I had to back up and say, okay, God, you're in control of this. Show me what to do in these situations. Show me how to prioritize to
Mhm.
where I'm not getting burnt out. And believe me, there were a few times that I felt like I was burnt out in business or what have you. And I just had to take that time and say, God, I'm going to have to allow you to revive me and refresh me and renew me, because this is what I love doing. And
Mhm.
so, even in business, um, so I'm married, I have children, and I have this business that I'm running. And so the Lord is prospering the business. And so, um, at one particular time, especially when my children were in like middle school and elementary school, I mean, so I'm thinking, we need all the resources we can get. you know, because their children are expensive. They can be expensive. So I'm like, I'm going to work because as long as the clients are calling, I'm going to answer and I'm going to keep it moving. So there were times that I was working 6 days a week. I was working until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at the salon. And so because I loved doing it and because I loved the money too. And
Mhm.
so it was crazy because it just came to me one day and it was the Lord showed me like you are missing out on a lot of your children's lives by not being there for them. Yes, I'm still at home, when I get home from work, but I'm tired.
Mhm.
I'm all day Saturday, I'm at the salon, so I'm missing out on like they have games and they have different places that they want to go. They want to do fun things together, but I'm too tired or I'm working, missing out on basketball games, missing out on concerts at school and all that. And then one day the Lord showed me, you're missing out on part of their life that you're never going to be able to get back. And so when he showed me that, like I could have either just ignored it and said, "Well, I'm making money. I need to make this money," or I could say, "Okay, I need to pull back some," which is what I did. I pulled back some and I said, "Okay, Lord, show me how to do this where I can still have a very successful business and I can still be a major part of my children's lives."
Mhm.
So the Lord showed me how to do that, where I was able to pull back a little bit, make some of the games, make some of the practices, make some of the concerts at school. And even with all that, it was just a blessing that the Lord showed me that, and I was able to do it. And so
You
now,
were able
when
to
I see
hear it.
like a lot of young women that have children and they have like busy schedules, I was like, hey, you might want to pull back some and spend some time with your children because these are times that you can't get back. Like, you can't go back to when they were 5 years old and say, I wish I, could have spent more time with them. Yes, you wish you could have, but you can't go back and regain that time. So I tell them all the time. So spend quality time with them now because this is when they need you most.
Mhm.
Don't wait until they're off and married and say, hey, I want to spend some time with you. So do it now while you can.
Mhm. So as you are being, you and your husband are having conversation about, honey, I think the Lord is calling me into ministry. What does that look like for you? Like, what was your initial reaction? Was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Or did you already have an inkling prior to?
I already had an inkling prior to because I knew what I was getting into
Mm,
before I got married. My husband was already a minister when we
mm,
got married, so he had been in the ministry for a long time. So I kind of knew, you know, what I was getting into when we first got married. Now, as far as the calling to pastor, um, we kind of like ran from that for a long time and actually I told my husband I was like this is I believe this is your calling and this so um it's one of those things where I was expecting it, um but I really didn't know what to expect,
yeah.
how we were going to go about doing it or what it was going to look like once we got into it. So it was something that I knew from the start, so I wasn't surprised, I wasn't shocked.
Mhm.
And
It
so
wasn't overwhelming at the beginning because you kind of knew some of the basics, but walking through the process probably was a little different.
Yeah, so yeah, and it wasn't overwhelming at the beginning because for the simple fact that we had good pastors again, good foundation, with Bishop Spencer, and then again with my dad, Bishop Pinnell, just sitting under that ministry. So I had foundation where, I was taught the word, I was taught the principles of the Bible, I was taught, how to hold different offices in the church. So by the time we started pastoring, it was like I had experience in these different areas. So overwhelming it wasn't overwhelming at all. As a matter of fact, it was fun. It was beautiful. I'm not saying that there wasn't times it was like, oh, but there were, for the most part, it was beautiful, especially when you watched a person come in one way. And then after they were there for a while, after they received the word, you watched their lives transform right in front of you. So
Mm,
that was the beauty of ministry. And that is still the beauty of ministry, watching people's lives being transformed with the word of God.
amen. That is awesome. So, how is it that you, First Lady, Lady Anne has all these responsibilities because now you're grandma. Or what does the kids call you? What do they call you?
Granny.
They call you Granny,
Yes,
really?
I love it
Okay.
too.
Okay. So you now you're Granny. And so you're still wearing all of the hats, maybe not to the same level that you did, as you were starting out, because now you've got some experience, um, you've got some ability and some wisdom as to how to juggle some things, and some things maybe you're not in full time anymore because you are semi-retired, which I don't believe at all. But nevertheless, but we will go with what you told me.
Okay.
But now that you're doing all of this, when do you sit and just breathe? What does that look like? Other than this episode, okay?
That's a very, very good question. And so, um, lately, I've been trying to find time to do that. But I tell you, um, we have to. We
Mhm.
have to. So at least once a week, I try to find a day, which usually is for me, it's on Monday, where, I might sleep in a little bit. I might sit in bed and read a book. I might just kind of like I love Western, so I might watch a good Western, you
Really?
know, or, go get a massage or something like that. But we have to have a time where we're just relaxing.
Mhm.
And so what happens is that we get so involved in different things that's going on. I know we have our careers, we have our jobs, we have our families, we have our ministries, we have this, that, and the other. And even with grandchildren, thrown into the mix, you want to spend time with all of them because you want all of them to feel like they're the favorite, And
Yes.
so, and that's exactly what
And
I
there
try to
is
do.
a knack to doing that as
It,
well.
it really is. And that takes some time too. But you also need qui- time to pull away,
Mhm.
that quiet time. I know even in ministry, there are times that you have people coming to you to get something from you, to talk to you, to get counseling or whatever. But sometimes you have to pull away first and say, I have to get back to you, because you've already reached your point, and like, I poured out, and I feel like I don't have anything left to pour. So you don't want to just give people anything.
Mhm.
So those are the times that you need to pull back and say, God, I need you to refill me. I need you to refresh me. And it's not until I get that refilling, not until I get that refreshing, that I'm going to, talk to that person and give them what you have for me to say. So all of us need at some point to pull back and just be able to hear from God. Because as long as we're busy, as long as we're moving around, as long as we have all the chatter going on, and people wanting to go hang out and go to the movies, hang out, go out to dinner, this, that, and the other, then we'll never find time to hear from God. But there has to
That's
be
right.
those times that you pull back and you say, okay, God, this is your day. Let's see how you want to spend this day. See how we're going to spend it together. And so even if that's nothing more than just sitting in the chair and just looking out the window or whatever, my favorite thing to do is to go to the window and just look out and just thank God. I'm like, God, I thank you. I thank you for everything that you've done for me. And so just giving God the glory that he deserves. To me, that's kind of like my favorite downtime, is when I'm alone, spending time with God and giving him the glory for everything that he's done for me. Because I never want to take it for granted, like the blessings that he's bestowed upon us. And sometimes, and especially when we find that we don't have everything that we want to have, or we think that things are not coming as fast as they should be, we find ourselves in a place where we're complaining as
Mm.
opposed to giving God the praise. So I
Wow.
like to always step back and just give God the praise for everything, because he deserves it.
He so deserves it. He so,
Mhm.
so deserves it. So in this time or this season of being semi retired, what does a day look like for you now?
Woo. So I was supposed to have more time to just kind of like chill and stuff like that, but I don't even know what that means anymore. So even though I'm just working 1 or 2 days a week, I'm finding that filling this time now with more things that are pertaining to ministry.
Mhm.
Um, whether it's the mentoring, whether it's talking to people, and even in the salon, salon people that are hairstylists, they are constantly counseling, people that come and sit in their
Absolutely.
chairs. So you
Yes.
gotta always be ready. So anybody that is a hairstylist or a barber that's listening to this, you need to know, especially as a saved person, you need to be prayerful when you go in. Have some quiet time first with God, because people are going to come at you with questions and they want you to have the answers. You're
Mm,
going to have to take time to pray for people. I mean, in my salon, I don't mind closing the door. I will pray over somebody in a minute. Like
mm,
when they come in there with a problem, let's shut the door. Let's pray about this. I'm not going to say I'll pray for you, and I'm not going to. I want to pray like right then and there,
mm.
because if I say I'm a believer, I believe that God can answer this situation right now. So I'm just taking the time to pray over people. So back to the question that you asked me, what does my day look like?
It's okay.
Semi-retirement. It's for me. I've come to a place in my life where of course it's about family, because I
Mhm.
love family. I love spending quality time with family. I love spending time with my husband, my children, my grands, my extended family, and then the church family. But I love having conversations with women. I
Mm,
love mentoring women. Um, I just love. I've gotten to the point where I want to see women, be in a better place than I was at their age, especially younger women. So that's what my time looked like, and even now, just taking on like new careers, like things that the Lord just drops in my lap to do, and I'm willing to say yes, Lord. I've never done this before, but show me what to do and how to do it.
mhm,
So trusting in God more is um, is what I'm doing in this season, and so that's one of the reasons I love the topic of discussion today, transitioning with ease, because we go through a lot of transitions in life, and I like to call them change points or change stations. Everything does not stay the same. Everything is going to always change at some point or the other. And a lot of people can't deal with change. I used to be one of those people that could not deal with change. I don't want things to change. I love the way that everything is right now. And then this is the thing that I always hear people say, especially married people. I don't want my husband to change. 10 years later, he's changing. You're not the person that I married. Well, of course not. Do you want the same
Never
person that you
evolve.
married,
That's right.
10 years ago? Do you want that person to stay childish? Do you want that person to stay immature? So you want people to evolve. And so we have to give people permission to evolve and to change and to be better. So transitioning is change.
Mhm.
And so the Lord allows us the opportunity to transition with ease with Him, like if we allow Him. So, our co pastor at our church at Mount Gilead, co pastor Lena Robinson, she ministered a message and it was entitled Checkmate with Ease. So,
Wow.
when you gave me that topic, I was like, this is going to be wonderful.
Mhm,
So, with her, she just laid it out how, and check and chess and game of chess is such a strategic game, and
mhm,
there's one winner, but you have to keep on moving. There's a lot of moving parts to it. But
mhm,
how, once you belong to God and you surrender everything to Him and you trust Him, even in this game called life, you're going to always have checkmate. And it
mhm,
can be with ease if you allow God to, help you do that. So my thing is, like, whenever I'm going through a situation, even in life, even through like some of my most trying times, sometimes I have to step back and say, Lord, I know that you have it. And I know that, you know the answers to all this. And so I have to allow what's inside of me to come out,
mhm.
even in situations that I'm going through. You know, we when we show up, we the answers show up with us because we have the Holy Spirit residing on the inside of us.
Mhm.
So just getting to that point where I'm really allowing God to just do whatever He wants to do in my life at this point in juncture of my life. Like, okay, God, and I haven't always been there, because there were times when I was like, I don't want all that. All that's not necessary. I don't want to do all that. But just allowing God to do whatever He wants to do. And do I wish that I had it done sooner in my life? Of course. Yes, absolutely. But the thing about it is, when you come to that realization that you're going to allow God to use you, it doesn't matter where you are in your life, God is going to use you.
Mhm.
But especially for a lot of young ladies that feel like they have a calling in their life, I'm like, look, go for it. Find yourself a good mentor and go for it.
Mhm.
Don't waste your time, spinning your wheels like, God, did you really call me? Do you really want me to do this? Do I have enough in me? And it's almost like sometimes we destroy our own lives by our, negative self-talk
Absolutely.
and kind of like doubting what God has put on the inside of us. And those are some things I went through in the past too, like just a lot of negative self-talk and doubting what God has put on the inside of me simply because of being afraid of what other people would think or
Mm.
what other people would say.
Wow.
Do I
Wow.
care what other people think and other people say? I know a lot of people say they don't, but yes, we do.
Yeah.
But am I going to let it bother me? No, not anymore. Not at this point in my life.
I think that is really good what you just said, because, first of all, if there is a call on your life, you are wasting time if you don't heed to whatever the call is or whatever you feel like the Lord is leading you to do. That's one. The next thing in my thought would be, he's going to have the final say. One way or another, he's going to have the final say. And even if you feel like you're not equipped to do what you're called to do, even if you just started and he really meant for you to do something else, it's better to be obedient than to sit there in a state of disobedience and miss something versus just being redirected to something. Because I think a lot of times we do really care what people say. We do. And I've been one my whole life who has stood by that motto. I don't care. Whatever,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I'm good with me. But the reality is, at the end of the day, when you're by yourself and the door is closed, you really do. And not that you live your life out because of other people's perception, but you still want to make sure that, um, if I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do, I'm confident now in the decision that I made, because I know it's just between me and God. That's all I have to be accountable to, is Him at this point in life. I only
Hmm.
have to be accountable to Him. And as
Right.
long as He's good, and as long as I have a listening ear and a will to hear, then it's okay. It's okay.
Mm.
So I just want to thank you, because one another thing that I wanted to ask you too before we kind of wrap up: checklists. Do you believe in checklists? Do you have lists and post-it notes all over the place? Because you've got, now I know everybody has their phones, and I know everybody has their iPads and tablets that they kind of have everything like as a reminder. But to me, you seem kind of like you would still do some things different. Am I right? Am I wrong?
No, you're right. You are right. I love being spontaneous. I
Mhm.
mean, and so I guess when you're retired, you can be spontaneous in some things, but I find that my day is more productive if I have a checklist.
Mhm.
Because honestly, for me, I need someone to keep me on task because I would be here, there, and everywhere, because I get so excited about something and then it draws me over here. And then I'm supposed to be at this place at a certain time, but I'm over here having fun. So I need my checklist to keep me on task. And I find out that at the end of the day, when I'm going through and I'm crossing everything out, I feel like I've been so productive.
Yes, yes.
So checklist for me, yes, I need them in my life. Do I use them all the time? No, but I need to use them more often.
And Lady Ann, for the next 3 to 5 years, what do you have? What can the world expect from Lady Ann from for the next 3 to 5 years? What do you project that time frame may look like for you?
Oh, that's a good question too. You have so many wonderful questions, thought provoking. You're making me think. So I think the next 3 to 5 years. So I'm becoming very settled now. I think in who I am, and so for me, it's almost like I'm opening up that door to say, Lord, whatever it is you want from me. Because honestly, Terica, for so long, I kept shutting that door. I kept saying, no, not me. Somebody else can do it better than I can do. Somebody else is more experienced than I am. Somebody else, and I go on to say, like, I'm always pushing other people out there.
Mm-hmm. You're their
But when the Lord,
cheerleader.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to me, I'm like, oh Lord, not me. I can't see myself there. Well, why not? Why can't I see myself doing it? If I can see somebody else doing it, why can't I see myself doing it? So for me, it's kind of like an open door. Like I'm ready and I'm willing to walk through that door, whatever it might be. Now, one thing I am doing now is, well, I have been doing, is we've been going on mission trips. So
Mm.
I see myself continuing to do missions. As a matter of fact, we'll be going to Ghana in May on a missions trip, and I'm so excited about that, my husband and myself. So I'm excited about that. But going on missions trips, spending more time with the family, and then kind of like doing some things that I've been wanting to do for years, but I never found time to do them. And one of the things is, another thing I think we talked about is, finishing a book. So if I can just get one book finished, then that would be great.
Yay.
So again, 3 to 5 years being a finisher.
Mm.
That's what I'm committed to doing. I'm being a finisher. Um, and then just being open to whatever God has. And I want to leave a legacy, not only for my children, but for those that know me. So at the end of the day, I want to say, well, when I'm gone, what will people say about who I am? you
Mm.
know um and so the thing about it is, some people think that, I don't have a legacy to leave. Yes, you do. Whenever you have a conversation with somebody and they remember that and they share it with somebody else, that's leaving a legacy.
Mm.
Whenever you do something and they share that with somebody else, that's leaving a legacy. Because you hear people say, oh, my aunt such and such used to say, and then
Mm.
they quote her. That's
Yeah.
leaving some type of legacy. So at the end of the day, I want to make sure that whatever legacy that I leave is a positive one,
Mhm.
and it's one of, helping women know that they can reach their dreams, they can achieve, whatever they desire to achieve, is getting behind people and just pushing them. I have um, a 10-year-old, I believe she's 10-year-old granddaughter who loves the world of fashion.
Mhm.
So, I was a fashion student, have a degree in fashion. My daughter has a degree in fashion, and now my granddaughter is pursuing it. And she's having a big fashion show here in Charlotte in July.
Nice.
It's a benefit fashion show to benefit kids over in Kenya and kids over in Haiti. So it's like, kind of like getting behind, not only my grandchildren, but people that have a dream to do different things, and like say, you can do this. How can I help you? Let me see what my resources are. How can I help you to get to, where you're trying to go? So it's big, it's open, and I'm just so open to whatever God has. But I know for me, it's, some of the things in career, the book, of course, the world of fashion is always open for me, and
Mhm.
then interior designing, which is something that lately it's like, yes, let's do this. So I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about it.
Well, I am excited about, again, standing on the sideline, watching you from a distance, watching the journey. You always have a cheerleader in South Carolina, always have, always will. I am just so excited for all the opportunities that the Lord has given you and that you have now agreed to accept. So that is so awesome and amazing. So, as we are wrapping up, is there any final word of encouragement that if there is a young first lady, a new mom, a newlywed, someone who is starting out as their in their career as an entrepreneur, is there any final words that you would like to share with them to maybe help them get over the hump that they either may be standing in front of or about to cross over?
Wow. I think one thing I would say is don't quit. Don't quit. Especially if it's something that you know that you want, whether it's marriage, whether it's being a parent, whether it's your career, your ministry. I would say don't quit. It's easier to quit than it is to kind of push through it.
Absolutely.
And so, um, just know that there are people out there that want you to succeed, and know that there are people that are looking at you that you don't even know about. People are reading you, people are watching you. And so they're waiting for you to do something greater. They're watching your life. And so that's one thing that, even, back when, I never even imagined, like, what would somebody want to look at me for? But people are always looking at you. They're watching your life to see what you're going to do next, what your next step is going to be. So to the mother, I would say, hang in there. It does get better. It does get better. And so learning that prayer is going to be your greatest weapon. Even, the mother that might be raising teenagers and they might seem a little bit rebellious right now, prayer is your greatest weapon. And then getting into that word and even pulling out one or two scriptures, not the whole book, not the whole chapter, but pulling out one or two scriptures that you can relate to, that will that you can use on that particular situation. When I tell you that will turn the situation completely around, and then believing and standing and trusting on the word of God. Even with a career, like not just stopping like where you are, knowing that there are bigger and better things out there for you. Because for me, being behind the chair, after a while that got old. I'm like, okay, what else is there to do? Like I need something. And so I was saying it, but I wasn't asking God for anything.
Mhm.
But God knew my heart. So he just started like dropping it on me. But another thing is to ask. Ask if you need help, ask.
Mhm.
Ask for help. Ask another woman. Ask God, for direction. So just know that you're not in this alone. There are people that can help you, that will help you, that want you to succeed, but don't quit. Don't quit because the reward on the other side is so much greater. Like I said before, grab hold to a scripture in the word, stand on that word, even if it's the same scripture, stand on it, believe God and trust God for it, and it will manifest. God will make it happen for you.
That is so awesome. Hey guys, we are so honored again to just have Lady Ann to be with us, just sharing words of wisdom, words of experience with you guys. I'm hoping and praying that some of what she has said you will be able to take some things away and use them for whatever stage of life you are in. Transitioning with ease is what we're talking about today. And life is ever evolving. We serve a God that is progressive. He is not the same. He is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore, but He is always giving us new ideas. He's always pouring into us new life and new hope and new revelation. It's up to you to take advantage of it. Hey, this is Terica Talbert with Century 21 Blackwell and Company, and I sponsored today's episode. Guys, I would like for you to subscribe. I would like for you to share. I'd like some comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what y'all think about my new hairdo. We're trying to do something a little different. I don't know if we're going to go with locks, but we're going to see. Let me know what your thoughts are. Until next week, enjoy.